Checkmate is ITZY's best album, and you can argue with the wall. Hi, welcome back to Jimothy Listens. My name is Jimothy, and today we're talking about ITZY's latest album, Checkmate. Now, ITZY are a group that I would say has my favorite discography in K-pop. They have been consistently putting out not only amazing title tracks, but just incredible albums with phenomenal B-sides. I think ITZY just have a very high quality overall with all of their songs. Though that being said, I did feel like their last couple of releases, although they were still phenomenal, kind of felt like they were trending away from what made ITZY so stand out in the first place. ITZY kind of started off with this big, very just like strong, self-confident vibe that was really quite fresh and exciting. They differed from the popular kind of like girl crush sound by still making very loud and strong music, but making it feel a bit more empowering than enticing. Though their work over the last like year maybe with Guess Who and Crazy in Love kind of lost that a little bit and just went for a bit more kind of girl crushy sides, which I still absolutely loved, but it still had me slightly concerned about the direction ITZY was going and where this direction might end up taking them. So I'm very pleased that this new album feels like they've kind of gone back to their original feeling, but with a brand new sound. Checkmate is full of that strong, powerful confidence that made ITZY so exciting in the first place, but sounds like nothing they've ever done before. Now, I think we were all a little bit confused in the lead up to this album dropping. I saw a lot of discussion online about the concept and where things were going, because initially ITZY teased Checkmate with these very royal, regal concept photos, quite sophisticated, quite elegant, and then suddenly, when they announced the title track, suddenly we got neon spray paint, kind of retro, just a very different vibe. And then also the reveal that the name of the title track was Sneakers, which is something you wouldn't normally associate with the royalty kind of feeling. So that obviously had people a little bit confused. And then when we got the teaser snippet for Sneakers, I think it just threw people even more. I saw a lot of negativity surrounding it because it sounded cheesy and corny and basic, which I can't disagree with. Definitely wasn't what we were expecting, I'll say that. So we kind of had this questioning in the lead up as to what's this gonna be. I saw some people predicting that JYP was gonna swerve us and that Sneakers wasn't actually the title track and who knows what. Now that it's dropped, we can see how well those takes have aged, because Sneakers is the title track, and I, for one, am very into it. I think it's fun. I think it's super cute. I really like it. Is it corny? Is it a little bit cringe? Yes, but it works because that's what the song is about. Like, if you made a song about like, oh, I'm super cool and stylish, and had it be really like, you know, cringe sneakers, then yeah, that'd be a bit ugh. But when the song itself is literally about, oh yeah, okay, I'm a weirdo, I'm cringe, I don't, I don't fit in and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without these sneakers on? That's weird. But it's that vibe. And so to have it be corny and cringe, it's like, yeah, exactly. That's the point. And it is catchy as hell. It's catchy as hell. Obviously, catchy isn't always a good thing. But in this case, me and my housemate, who I forced to listen to the song for the last few days, have just probably every 5-10 minutes just gone, like, looked at each other and gone, put my sneakers on. I will never put on shoes without thinking of that song again. It's in there. Plus, obviously, it has, great performances from the members. I love all of the little ad-libs in, especially, like, the first verse. I think it's very fun. The pre-chorus is gorgeous and heavenly. There's just a lot of things to like about the song. It's very fun, and I'm into it. And it also, like I said, it feels like early ITZY. Sneakers feels a lot more like Dalla Dalla or Icy than it does Loco or Mafia in the Morning. It takes that, like, you know, strong, self-confident energy of Dalla Dalla and mixes it with the cringe of Icy in a way that kind of, I honestly like Sneakers better than either of those songs. Not to shit on either of, well, okay, to kind of shit on Icy because I think that's a pretty garbage song, but Dalla Dalla is a great song. I think Sneakers is even better. But it doesn't just feel like early ITZY in terms of the lyrics and the messaging, but also just in terms of the sound. Sneakers has a much sort of cleaner, simpler, more refined sound than the kind of loud busyness of especially something like Loco. And I think it's a great move. ITZY really pulled out a title track that is fun and just definitively ITZY. And then this sort of cleaner sound that I mentioned is carried out throughout the rest of the album in a really interesting way. In a time when the rest of the fourth generation is trying to be experimental by loading their songs with as many sounds and textures and layers and bells and whistles as possible, ITZY takes a sort of sleek and stylish approach. All of the kind of like middle B-sides from Racer to 365 have they have a uniform sound, which I love in an album, something that makes it feel a little more concrete and cohesive as one thing than just a collection of songs. And that is this shared, like, echoey, spacey approach to the production and the mixing, which I think sounds absolutely phenomenal. This album feels like it takes place in the stars, like just shooting across the galaxy. It's huge, it's epic, and it's just really fun. Racer is so much fun. It's maybe the busiest song on the album, and even then it uses that nice echoey mix that I was talking about to really feel like there's a lot of space between the layers, and then adding in the glittery effects and the race car noises zooming past, and it gives it a sort of clear personality and identity and makes it a bit more fun. Then what I want is a nice kind of rap-ish track, kind of feels similar to Gas Me Up off of their last album, but again, the really spacey mix and great use of synths, especially on the back half of the song, just elevate it again into this spacey, starry feeling. Plus the pre-chorus, which suddenly switches to this like dramatic 2010s pop sound, is super fun and adds like another layer of interest while still sounding super clean and neat. Is really nice. Then from there we have Free Fall, which I think is my favorite song on the album and one of my favorite ITZY songs I've ever heard. It is even cooler than the last few tracks. It has a super tasty beat and a huge pre-chorus that just drops away into one of the tastiest anti-drops I've ever heard. I'm not normally an anti-drop person. I prefer things to just build, but when it's this damn good, I have to love it. And in this case, it really fits with the kind of free fall theme. It feels like the ground suddenly being pulled out from beneath you, and almost in like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon moment where you just look down and see the open space below you before you start to fall. And then that coming with the super fun like wee is just great, and I absolutely adore it. And even then, to make sure that the chorus isn't too boring with an anti-drop, these gorgeous synths get introduced to sit behind the second half of the chorus, which are just absolutely gorgeous. I love how they sound. They just these synths get even more fleshed out on the bridge and into the final chorus of the song, so it feels even less like falling and more like just flying through space as stars and nebula just pass you by. It's colorful and it's wonderful and it's brilliant. I adore it. The party continues on 365, which has some insanely dirty production, obviously very heavily inspired by the kind of like Sophie, Umru industrial experimental pop scene. It kind of feels like a part 2 to the song 24 Hours from their It's Me album, which is one of my favorite ITZY songs, so absolutely give me more of it. I could absolutely listen to this song for eternity. It's so cool. The, again, kind of an anti-drop is super fun. Ryujin sounds great in it. It's super cool. It's super cool. And once again, even though it contains a lot of weird experimental sounds and textures, it's not overwhelming or overbearing or even really particularly that like dense. It's just super neat and tidy. Everything that is used super efficiently to make it sound new and interesting while still keeping so much space in the mix. And then we come to the final song, Domino. Now, ITZY loves to chuck a ballad at the end of their album, as do most K-pop groups. And if you've seen my content before, you know that I'm never a big ballad fan. They're always my least favorite song on the album. Domino is the exception. Domino is phenomenal. Domino is how you use a ballad at the end of your album. Instead of being like most K-pop albums and having super high energy all the way through the track list and then just suddenly right at the end killing all of your momentum and going, eh. Domino is probably the biggest song on the album, and where the rest of the songs have held back and been very empty and spacey like I've talked about, Domino finally just lets loose with the thick, dense textures, and it's really nice. It's an amazing high point climax of the album. The production is so much more interesting than your usual K-pop ballad. It's got the delicious kind of, I don't even know if they're guitars or synths. They kind of sound like synths pretending to be guitars. Whatever they are, I absolutely love them. It gives it a really like kind of rocky flair to it, which is really nice. There's this great sort of punchy feel in the verses before exploding into just the big anthemic chorus that's backed by the wonderful synths and really just feels like it soars. It just takes off and flies. And so not only is it gorgeous, but it's really nice to just finally dive into this big lush sound, both in terms of production and vocals. It's really wonderful. And this whole album is, ITZY have absolutely outdone themselves on Checkmate, and not just in terms of the production and the sound either. I think all of the members shine this comeback. Ryujin sounds cooler than ever, and I love how she leads a lot of the choruses in this album. Leah and Chaeryeong's voices are just gorgeous and they shine, especially in the pre-choruses and the bridges of these tracks. Yuna is quickly heading down the path to become one of my favorite rappers in K-pop. She just keeps getting better and better, and I love to see it. And Yeji's powerful voice adds amazing sort of tension and high energy at all the right moments. So that's why among ITZY's discography, which even before this album I said was possibly my favorite K-pop discography, even then Checkmate feels to me like ITZY's strongest album by a mile. I think it's wonderful. I think it's everything ITZY should be doing. I think it's a really clever move for the group. It feels like the start of a new chapter for one of my favorite groups, and so I love to see it. And I just really like this album. So that is it for this video. What do you think of this album? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, comment, put your sneakers on, and I will catch you next time. See ya.